Let me tell you a story, not from a book, but from the silent archive of human experience. There was once a technique so powerful, so immediate in its ability to transform the mind, that it was whispered about behind closed doors. It didn't involve talking, analyzing, or years of processing. It wasn't found in journals or textbooks. It was lived. And because it worked so well, a transformation, it made people uncomfortable. Professionals feared it, not because it harmed, but because it stripped away the layers too fast. It gave power to the individual too quickly. And so, like many truths that arrive before their time, it was removed, ignored. It's a transformation, and eventually banned. But the method was simplex stillness, not stillness in the body alone, but stillness in response. Stillness as a rebellion against the modern mind, which reacts to everything instantly. You see, most people are slaves to their thoughts. Transformation. A message appears in their head and they obey. An emotion stirs in their chest and they act. But this technique trained the mind differently. It taught the practitioner to do nothing first, to sit, to breathe, to not respond. And in that pause something magnificent happened. The emotional storm passed, the need to speak vanished. The old pain, the resentment, it is a transformation. The anxiety, it dissolved like a fog exposed to sunlight. It's not mystical, it's not magical, it's neurological. Your brain learns patterns. And this method reprograms those patterns through discipline, not dialogue. Is a transformation. When you consistently interrupt your automatic responses, the brain rewires itself. You don't need to scream your pain to heal it. You need to stop feeding it. But this is why it was feared, not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. In 1 week, it is a transformation. People changed what a decade of therapy couldn't shift. And when something is that effective, systems that thrive on dependency start to tremble. After all, how do you profit from someone who becomes their own solution? You don't. Transformation. So the method disappeared from public conversation. But it never left the hands of those who were ready. It is a transformation, because the truth cannot be erased. It just hides in plain sight, waiting for the discipline to find it. Is a transformation. You don't need a therapist to heal. You don't need another book, another diagnosis, or another label. Formation. What you need is to sit with yourself every morning, without distraction. You breathe, you wait, you watch, and you train the mind to obey instead of overwhelm. This is the hack, and yes, it was banned. Not with laws or violence, but with silence. And yet, it lives, in the stillness of monks, in the patience of warriors. Transformation. In the breath of those who've suffered, but chose not to stay broken. The world does not need more stimulation. It needs more silence. And when you master that silence, you become your own cure. We live in an age where knowledge is overflowing. It is a transformation. Answers are at your fingertips before you even know what question to ask. You are surrounded by books, podcasts, experts, philosophies, formation, practices. And still chaos reigns. Why? Because your problem isn't a lack of information. It's a lack of discipline. It is a transformation. You already know what needs to be done. You know what's hurting you. You know the habits that bring you down. It is a transformation. You even know what thoughts haunt you when the room falls silent. But knowledge alone cannot save you. It is a transformation. You can memorize every teaching from every master, but if your mind refuses to listen, you are still lost. Discipline is the forgotten path to clarity. And that is the purpose of this ancient brain hacky, to bring the mind back into obedience. You must understand this. Your mind is like a wild animal. It doesn't care about your goals, your intentions, or your future. It is wired to seek comfort, avoid pain, and repeat what it has done before. That is its nature. Your anxiety, your overthinking, is a transformation. Your self-doubt, these are not flaws, these are habits, neural patterns etched into your brain like grooves in stone. And the more you follow them, the deeper they go. So how do you rewrite the mind? Not through analysis, not through discussion, not by explaining your pain for the 100th time, but through stillness and discipline. Let's speak plainly. When you feel triggered, a transformation, anxious, angry, what happens? Your body tightens, your thoughts speed up. You rehearse arguments. You defend yourself in your head. You replay wounds. You imagine scenarios that haven't happened and panic as if they're real. The mind, when left unchecked, it is a transformation, amplifies chaos, and the more attention you give to it, the louder it gets. This is the trap. But this ancient method is a transformation. This so-called band hack interrupts that noise. It doesn't fight the thoughts. It doesn't replace them with new ones. A transformation, it doesn't entertain them at all. It simply withdraws your energy, like removing oxygen from fire. You don't fuel it. You don't react. It is a transformation. You don't obey. You sit, you breathe, and you observe without engaging. At first, your mind will protest transformation. It will scream for attention like a spoiled child. It will tell you that silence is weakness, that doing nothing is cowardice. But these are tricks. This is the ego struggling to stay in control. Let it squirm, let it whine, let it beg, and still, you do nothing. It is a transformation. You return to the breath. You train yourself to watch without feeding, and that, right there, is the point of obedience. It's not about submission. It's about self-command. It's about becoming the master of your own mind, instead of its servant. Transformation. Do you understand what kind of power that gives you? If you can observe a storm inside you and not act it out, you are no longer possessed by it. You are free. This is real freedom, not running away from problems, not escaping discomfort, but facing it without flinching. You become like the mountain, unmoved by weather, present, grounded, unshaken. Transformation. Most people think mental discipline is about being tough. No, it's about being present, being awake enough to see that your thoughts are not facts. Your feelings are not commands. They are simply passing weather in the sky of your awareness. And when you don't react to them, they move on. They lose their power. Now, it is a transformation. Here's why it works so quickly, and why many rejected it, because it bypasses language. You see, most therapy works by talking, by labeling, by naming pain and organizing it. That has its place, but it also has limits. The deeper patterns in your mind do not respond to logic. They were created long before you had words. Trauma, shame, transformation, fear. These are etched into the nervous system, not the intellect. So this method rewires you through behavior, through the body, through the choice to sit still when everything in you screams to move, through the discipline to remain calm in the face of inner chaos. Is a transformation. That is the language your brain understands. And when you change your behavior consistently, your brain rewrites its code. But let's be honest, this kind of training is not attractive to most people. Why? Because it demands effort. Silence is uncomfortable. Stillness is confronting. To sit and do nothing, while everything inside you burns, is a form of internal warfare. But the warrior who masters that battlefield becomes untouchable. And that is the real reason this hack was shunned. Not because it didn't work, but because it gave power to the individual too fast. When people began practicing this method daily, they began to detach from their pain. They stopped over-explaining. They stopped needing permission. They stopped needing others to fix them, because they realized that they were not broken. Their minds were just undisciplined. And with practice they could be tamed. Systems do not benefit from individuals who become sovereign. The world profits from your confusion. It sells you solutions to problems you can fix by sitting with yourself for 15 minutes a day. And so, this method disappeared from public platforms, labeled ineffective by those who never tried it long enough to feel its sting or its peace. But now the choice is yours. Will you return to distraction, or will you sit in silence just for a few moments each day and train your mind to obey? It is a transformation. It won't be easy. Your mind will resist, but that's how you know it's working. The goal isn't to stop thinking transformation. The goal is to stop obeying every thought that appears, to sit with your discomfort like a monk, to breathe through your storm like a warrior, and to emerge each day with more clarity, more calm, more control. This is the path of discipline. It is not loud, it is not popular, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. Because when your mind learns to obey you, nothing can enslave you again. Not anxiety, not anger, not the past, not even your own thoughts, is a transformation. You become the master of your inner world, and that is the most dangerous power of all.